everyone and welcome to a new video. My name is Ellie, I'm a long distance hiker and backpacker, and in this video I want to answer some of your questions that you have been asking. And since we just hit 7,000 subscribers on this channel, which I'm so grateful for, thank you so much to everyone who's been following our adventures, watching our videos, subscribing to the channel. That means so much. And because there are a lot of you that are new on the channel, maybe I thought I would just answer a couple of your questions so that you can get to know me a bit better. Just a little announcement. I think I'm going to make this a two-part little series, so to say, so that the video doesn't get too long. So in this video, I'm going to focus on my hikes, how I feel safe as a solo female hiker, things like that. And in the next video that's going to go live in a couple of days, I'm going to answer some questions that have been asked a lot over the past couple of weeks, couple of months. Do I make money from hiking? Yeah, basically the financial side of my YouTube channel, my hike. So definitely stay tuned for the next video if you're interested in that. But for now, let's just get into the first questions. Question number one, starting off with something easy to answer. Was wondering what's your nationality and what town were you born in? I'm German. I was born in the western part of Germany, near the border to France, but I'm living in Bavaria now, about 40 minutes from Munich, so not too far from the Alps, in the south of Germany. And then the second question that has been asked several times, when did you originally get the bug for solo hiking and what got you into it in the first place? And related to that, how did you get into hiking? Why do you continue to hike? What do you love about hiking? Do you find anything hard? I've actually started hiking with my family. My parents are big fans of spending time outside, outdoors, cycling, hiking. So as a kid and teenager, we basically spent all our summer holidays typically in the mountains, going for hikes, etc. But then when I went to university, I had other things on my mind. I went to the gym, but I didn't do a lot of hiking. Basically just focused on other things. If you're just starting to live on your own, obviously you may be more into partying and stuff. I didn't do a lot of hiking then, but then a couple of years ago during COVID, where there wasn't a lot to do, gym was closed, everything was closed, you couldn't really travel abroad or something like that. You couldn't do any sightseeing trips or backpacking trips to other countries. So that's when I rediscovered hiking, because that obviously was something that you could do close to where you lived. And that's basically how my love for hiking started. And I started to do my first real backpacking, wild camping trips on my own as well. And then when I adopted Otto, obviously, we just started hiking a lot more because Otto has a lot of energy and I could really feel like he wanted to go out. That was my motivation to do even more, and that's how it started. What I really love about hiking and long distance hiking in particular is that it's a real simple life. You don't have to worry about a lot of things, just your most basic needs, food, shelter. There's not much on your mind because hiking, the physical exercise, basically takes up all the space in your head. And I really like that. I really like this simple life where you don't need that much. You don't need a lot of fancy things, luxury items. And it's really easy to be happy. You don't need a lot. Even just getting a coffee is the most perfect thing after maybe hiking in the rain all day. And I really like this simple life, just on your own, outside. Obviously you get to explore beautiful nature, landscapes. And I think that's just for me the magic of long distance hiking, just being out, a little bit out of the real world, so to say, just far away from everything, thrown back on your most basic needs. And I think that's very interesting. You can learn a lot from that experience. And the last part of that question, what do I find hard about hiking? And honestly, not that much. Obviously, it's really hard if it's really wet and cold, but I feel like for me personally, these things, they don't really last. Even if it's really hard, and in my videos, you can see that we've had a couple of really hard days this year, really wet days. But it's always something that will pass. It's not real forever. And hiking really taught me, and this sounds cheesy, but for me, it really is like that. Hiking has taught me that even the hard times, and not just during the hike itself, but also metaphorically, the hard times will not last forever. At some point, the sun will come out again and everything will dry. So for me personally, obviously it's really hard if everything gets wet, but I know, and that's why I don't feel like it's really, really hard for me, so that I would want to quit that life. It's just temporary, and the hard moments are just temporary. And after that, it gets better. And even if it's hard, you can still learn from it. You can become more resilient. You can trust your body more. I really like sleeping outside. I really don't mind not having a really comfy bed. It's just, yeah, that's not something that's really hard for me. I'm just happy that I'm out, that I can move my body and explore new areas. Then the next question, why are you doing all or most of your walking in the British Isles? That's an interesting question, and one that I get quite a lot. And the simple answer is that I just love it. For me personally, it's the perfect place for hiking. There's so much variation. You have everything from coast walking to really like remote mountain ranges in Scotland. Then you have a lot in between, picturesque English countryside. There's just so much variation, and it's not that hard from a technical viewpoint, especially if I'm with Otto. Obviously, I don't want something that's too hard, like for example, hiking in the Alps at higher altitude on more exposed terrain. So it's really easy and accessible. There's good public transport. Then the climate, I really like that. I'm not really a person that likes to walk in like really warm or hot climate, and even more so with Otto with the black coat. It's just the perfect temperature, I feel like, basically all year round, which makes it ideal for me. Then another aspect is the food situation. It's very, very easy to get vegan food basically everywhere in the UK. And if you've watched my last videos when I hiked in Spain in September and October, it was a totally different situation there. So I really appreciate having this like wide range of vegan options everywhere. Then I really like the hiking community. People in the UK are so like into hiking, or a lot of people are really into hiking. So it's really easy to meet like-minded people. There's this community, and I just really like that. And wild camping in general is more tolerated and even legal, for example, in Scotland. For me personally, I really like to talk to local people, to meet other hikers. So it's really easy to hike in a country where I can understand the language and speak the language, so that I can get into contact with other people. And last but not least, I've said that before many, many times, but the UK is incredibly dog friendly compared to, for example, Germany, and even more so, same example, when I hiked in Spain in October. It was so difficult hiking with Otto because so many places, like even the most basic bars or cafes, oftentimes don't allow dogs inside. So this is another aspect. It's just very, very easy to hike with a dog. And yeah, this makes it, in my opinion, the perfect place for hiking. And yeah, I like the kindness of people. I like the landscape. I just like everything. Then the next question, what's the farthest you've ever been from home? For me, that was a trip to the Isle of La Réunion, which is a part of the overseas territories of France. It's an island next to Madagascar. It's a really interesting place if you ever get the chance to visit. It's really, really great. It's just like another world. There's everything. There's like jungle, dense woodlands, rainforest, like things. It's great for diving. It's just, yeah, you can have a beach vacation there, hiking vacation there. We rented a camper van when we went there. We didn't do that much hiking, basically just little day hikes. But yeah, I really would love to return there. It's just a beautiful place. It has a bit of everything. Then the next question, or questions, because this has been asked a couple of times. Do you ever feel anxious? How do you overcome that? And do I feel safe as a solo female hiker? And this is an interesting question because obviously I can really relate to this feeling of not feeling safe all the time. I think especially as women, you just grew up with this like feeling that some areas and places are not safe or might not be safe. So I really get this feeling. And honestly, in the beginning, this was something that I was worried too. And I didn't, like when I started wild camping, hiking on my own, doing longer distances on my own, I was anxious at times. But what really helped me is just to remind myself, and I know that's easier said than done, but I just try to remind myself of like the numbers. Because in reality, the chances that something will happen to you in the countryside, in remote areas, are much lower than in a more urban environment. And in the beginning, I just tried to talk myself into believing that the chances that someone will follow you for kilometers, miles and miles and miles into the wilderness are just very, very low. I mean, obviously it can still happen that you just stumble across the wrong person or a bad person, but the chances are really, really low. And then what really helped me is to basically just do it. And the more you do it and the more you realize that nothing has happened, because usually most of the time, realistically speaking, you will be fine and nothing will happen. And the more you do it and the more you realize that nothing has happened the next morning, you have been fine, the more you can like feel at ease. At least it was like that for me. The more I did it and the more like positive experiences I've had and meeting people, like nice people, not bad people, the more I realized or the more my mind was at ease. And this is something, obviously there's no shortcut for that, or at least it wasn't for me. And now I don't feel anxious anymore, and I typically don't get spooked when wild camping. So far, I didn't have any like sketchy situation. I didn't feel unsafe once. I only had like positive experiences so far. And what that did for me is that it gave me back my faith in people, my faith in humanity. And it really is like that. And I feel like the more you go out, the less anxious you are. Because when you start, you're more likely to be influenced by media, by like horror stories that will obviously travel way quicker. So I feel like we're oftentimes have this bias through media, social media. But for me, the more I did it, the more I realized, okay, most people are kind people, and most people won't do any harm to you. And it's just a really small percentage, but it's that small percentage that we tend to see in the media. And I feel very, very safe now. But that being said, obviously, I still try to be aware of my surroundings. For example, I wouldn't continue walking into the mountains if I realize that someone's maybe following me, or if I have a bad feeling about someone, I would probably wouldn't stay in a bothy or something like that with them. And yeah, just try to follow like basic safety principles, like not disclosing my wild camping spot if I just meet someone on the trail. And if they ask where I'm going to camp like that night, I'm usually not giving my exact location or my plans, obviously just to be on the safe side. Then I have my Garmin InReach, and I'm trying to let people, friends, family know where I am, and just if I don't have signal, I just try to send a message, like an I'm okay message in the morning when I set off, and in the evening. And then the next question, do I ever feel lonely? No, I actually don't. I don't know, maybe that's weird, but I really enjoy hiking on my own, being on my own. Obviously, I'm not really alone because I have Otto, and I probably talk to him more than I realize. But in general, I don't feel lonely. Maybe also because I usually have a lot of things like to do, because during the day I'm hiking, I'm filming. When I'm getting to camp, I have to put up the tent, take care of Otto, make dinner, sort through my gear, things like that, like maintenance things. And then if I still have time and energy, I'm either reading a bit or editing videos. So I feel like I don't really have a lot of time, like to really feel lonely, if that makes sense. But yeah, in general, I'm really comfortable spending time with myself, and yeah, don't have this feeling of loneliness. Then the next question, on your last big hiking trip in England, how many kilometers were you averaging per day? That really depends on the weather, the terrain, whether or not I'm wild camping or if I want to get to a campsite or to a specific village, town. But usually with Otto, I'm trying to hike anything between 13 and 15, 16 miles. This is our daily mileage on most days, but sometimes we have really short days if we're just doing a half day, and sometimes we're just doing 10 kilometers, 6 to 7 miles. And then sometimes there are longer days up to like 19, 20 miles as well, but I'm always trying to like balance things out. So if we have a really long day, one day I'm trying to have a 0 day rest day, the next day, or just a very short day. Then the next question or questions more about the like logistics. I was wondering what the average price of a campsite is. Also, I wonder, how do you clean your pod mug while you're on the trail? And how do you wash your clothes? For me, when I'm hiking in England, usually a campsite can be anything between 7, 8-ish pounds to like 15, 16 if it's more of a posh campsite or something like those holiday parks, if I have or want to go there to have more facilities. But yeah, usually it's probably around £10 on average. For cleaning my pot, my spork, if I'm on the trail, usually I just rinse it with a little bit of water. Obviously, if I have a water source nearby, I'm just going to get some water from there and just rinsing it out. I have a little sponge, but I usually don't use dish soap or anything. I'm just rinsing it and wiping it with a little towel that I have for that. And how do I wash my clothes? When I'm on a longer hike, I'm trying to get to a campsite that has laundry facilities. I usually try looking those up beforehand or a couple of days before, so I know if I go there, I will have access to a like laundry on a campsite. Or if there's no campsite, I try to get to a town village that has a laundry. If it's not too hot, I usually wear my clothes like 1 week. Obviously, you can still rinse out your t-shirt, your underwear. I'm doing that like on the go if I see a sink somewhere on a campsite, or if there's a water source, something like that. I'm just going to try and rinse my shirt in between as well. But for a real like proper wash, I'm trying to get to a laundry typically once a week. What was your first hiking trip to the greatest country? Scotland, of course. Really like that question. I think it was 2010. It was the first time I traveled to Scotland for some hiking. We wanted to do Ben Nevis and the West Highland Way, but we didn't do it. I think I was still quite young. I don't know. I think I wasn't confident enough that I would do it, or it was just reading, and yeah, a lot of like guidebooks suggested that it was hard. Or I think at that time I thought it was like a bit too hard, too technical for me. Obviously I see it different now, but at the time I think it put me off a little bit because I thought it would be too much. But instead we did another one. I think it's one of Scotland's great trails, the Ayr Way. I don't know if you pronounce it that way, but it's in the south of Glasgow, if I remember correctly. I think it was 2 or 3 days. That was my first like longer distance hike in Scotland. And after that we just traveled around, did some day hikes in the Cairngorms, and since then I'm in love and just keep coming back all the time. Then next question, which is your favorite long distance hike so far? That's very interesting, and obviously I've done a lot of different hikes over the last couple of years with Otto and on my own too. And obviously you're always a bit biased when thinking about a trail, because it's not just the scenery, but also what maybe what it changed for you, or there's just some trails that hold this special magic for you personally. And I have this with the Southwest Coast Path in Cornwall and Devon. It was my longest hike back then. I did it with Otto in spring of 2022, and it changed so much for me. It basically made me quit my job, because I realized, okay, I'm not happy. I need to do something else. I need to live a different life. I'm not happy just chasing these things, like buying a house, doing this, doing that, like everyone around you or society sometimes tells you. It changed a lot for me. And for me, walking along the coast was very special, because as I've said, I live in the south of Germany, and we spent our family vacations usually in the mountains. We rarely or never went to the sea, but I really love the sea. I really love the coast. So being able to walk and see the sea, walk along the coast every day, was just very, very special for me, and something very healing. And yeah, obviously there are a lot of beautiful, beautiful trails, but the coast path has this, just like this little like special magic to it. So for me personally, that's my favorite hike so far. Then the next question, my recommendation for a beginner-friendly hike. This is interesting. If we're talking about the UK, I think I would recommend the West Highland Way, because in my opinion, it's a really great trail for beginners. It's not too hard, not too technical. There are a lot of accommodation options of all kinds, like B&Bs, hostels, campsites. It's really easy to camp and to wild camp. You're never too far away from civilization. There are nice options for restocking, resupply. On the way, there's basically everything. There are really nice pubs, cafes. So I think for me personally, that would be the perfect beginner-friendly hike. Obviously, it's a bit more crowded than other trails, but I've walked it in April and May, and so far I've hiked it 3 times. And from my experience, it wasn't too crowded. Obviously, there will be people on the campsite, but during the day, obviously you can see in the distance, like 500 meters ahead of you, you can probably see another person hiking there, but that didn't annoy me. And obviously there's always a trade-off. If it's beginner friendly, that oftentimes will probably mean that there are a bit more people, but doing it like in the shoulder season, spring, autumn, I think it won't be that crowded. It wasn't really crowded for me. And when it comes to the distance, I think it's great for beginners. It's not too long. It's 150 kilometers. You can easily do it in a week, 8 days. You can see a lot of the highlands, of beautiful nature, of the beautiful mountains in Scotland within a fairly short distance. So in my opinion, that would be a perfect beginner hike. Then the next question, what have I seen of Wales so far? Not that much, to be honest. I hiked the Farthest path, which goes along the border between Wales and England. So you cross it a couple of times. I hiked that with Otto on our Chocla hike. And then I spent a couple of days in Wales, in Snowdonia, last year as well, where we did some day hikes, but it was really wet, so we didn't do that much. We climbed Snowdon one day, which was so beautiful, and yeah, it was a really nice hike. But for the rest, it was really rainy. So we just did a couple of like smaller hikes, and we did some sightseeing too, like Harlyn Castle and some of the little villages in Snowdonia. But so far I didn't see anything else. That will change next year. I have a couple of plans for hikes in Wales as well. And then to finish this video, there are a couple of short questions. One is, what hiking shoes do I use? I don't have one pair that I use all the time. I'm switching between a couple of pairs, but I really like the Ultra Olympus 5. I think there's a new model coming out now as well. So typically I'm using that. Then this year I've walked in the Topo Athletic Terra Ventures that I also really liked. I've used the Topo Athletic Mountain Racer as well. So I'm using different brands, different models. I'm just trying out new things, and I want to change the things up, not walk in the same pair all the time. But I always hike in trail running shoes and just switch between different models. But my favorite one would probably be the Ultra Olympus. They're really great shoe. They're zero drop, but have a really nice cushion, which is great for me after I had plantar fasciitis last year. And I think these are probably my favorite shoes at the moment. Then the next question, what microphones do you use? Your voice is always very clear. I'm really happy to hear that because it wasn't like that last year. I had a lot of problems with my camera. But this year, when I'm out hiking, I don't use an external microphone. I just use the built-in microphone of my camera, which is the DJI Osmo Action 4. I just have this little like foam thing around it that's basically to block like wind noise so that it doesn't get too bad. But honestly, I'm really impressed with the built-in microphone. If you use an external microphone, obviously the camera isn't waterproof anymore, and it's just a lot of like fiddling around with the cable and everything. And if you have a wireless microphone, you have to charge another thing. So it's just easier to record just with the camera, and I'm really happy with the sound. And for videos like this one, when I'm at home, I bought a new wireless microphone, but I'm not sure yet. I had a couple of problems with the sound last time, so hopefully it will be better this time. But yeah, most of the time I'm just using the camera microphone. Then the next question, and this has been asked several times as well, why do I only make videos in English and not in German? And the answer is that I would love to make videos in German as well, but it's just a lot of work. If I do separate videos, it obviously it's a lot of work to start another channel, because I do all my editing obviously by myself. I don't have anyone who helps me with that. So it's just for me right now, it's not possible to start another hiking channel where I post German videos. And the same goes for voiceover for my own videos. And in my opinion, honestly, there's no real need for that, because a lot of people in Germany speak English on quite a good level, I think. And there's always the option of getting like the subtitles on YouTube in different languages. So I feel like there's no real need for me to do German videos. But on the other hand, I really want to include as many people as possible. And when I started doing YouTube videos, I was doing my long chocolate hike last year. And obviously most people I met there were like people from the UK, people speaking English, and I wanted to include as many people as possible and just sharing my journey. And I feel like doing videos in German would like leave out people, or a lot of people in the UK. And yeah, I just don't want that. I've made so many friends, so many connections in the UK through my hikes. So it doesn't feel right to walk in the UK all the time and only make German videos. I don't know. I just want to like include as many people as possible. And I think that's just easier if I do videos in English. Okay, this is it for this video. As I've said in the beginning, there will be a second part where I will talk more about the financial side of things, my future hiking plans. So definitely stay tuned for that. If you're watching this video, the date comes out. Otto and I want to wish you a Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, that you have a great time with friends or family, whatever you're doing. And yeah, really hope you're enjoying the holidays. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye!